More DEI, more problems. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy not messing around when it comes to rooting it out at the FAA. The Transportation Department now announcing it has hired an outside law firm to further review allegations of race-based hiring practices for air traffic controllers. This comes after disturbing accusations that a DEI activist offered minority candidates access to test answers ahead of the air traffic control entry exam.
Yikes. Secretary Duffy responding, saying too many lives are at stake. These investigations will help the department get to the bottom of these allegations. If true, I will carry out swift accountability. I will always put the safety of passengers and crews first. The newly hired California-based law firm will be tasked with assisting the investigations into Biden-era DEI practices. To discuss, let's bring in Mountain States Legal Foundation General Counsel William Trachman. Mr. Trachman, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely great to be here.
I think all Americans want meritocracy in government hiring. You see that in the Harvard-Harris poll. You see that in other polls. They want a meritocracy. I think it's fair to say they especially want a meritocracy in the job of making sure airplanes fly safely from one point to another. Based on what you've learned, what happened to meritocracy in the air?
Right. Well, sometimes when you want to get help, the first step is having a friend tell you that you have a problem. And here, Secretary Duffy has clearly honed in on the fact that the FAA has a problem and that meritocracy has been going away and gone away for over a decade since the Obama administration flushed the pre-employment test that was race neutral and instead adopted one that thought about race and wanted to reduce the number of white people in the hiring pool. And so I'm optimistic that hiring an outside law firm will get to the bottom of these things. And given the direction of the secretary, I think it'll actually have an effect. I'm hopeful, at least, it'll have an effect on the hiring of air traffic controllers and addressing the shortage that we have currently.
And based on your work, attorney, that you were as an attorney, there were more than 1,000 would-be air traffic controllers, correct me if I'm wrong, who were wiped from consideration because of diversity and inclusion hiring targets. What else might this law firm, but also Secretary Duffy has also requested the agency's top watchdog conduct an investigation of its own. What might they find beyond what you have already uncovered?
Well, so that's absolutely right. They changed the questions on the test to things like how many sports did you play in high school and what was your worst subject when you went to school. In terms of what the investigation may find, they may find more about this cheating scandal that we just recently saw blasted across X and various social media platforms. Imagine how much confidence you have to have as someone who has the answers to the test that is already racially biased against Caucasians, and then you're giving away the answers. So my hope is that this outside law firm, Quinn Emanuel, will be able to uncover why that person had so much confidence that they could give away test answers and assume that they would get away with it.
So I was going to ask about the difference. How do you know what would have happened under a meritocratic process versus the one they went with? But I guess if there was cheating, you can't even know how qualified anyone is who's doing that job.
Right. So our clients got, in many cases, 100% on the pre-employment test that used to exist. That was in place for decades before the Obama administration changed that. But you're absolutely right. A cheating scandal is a whole other element here. So not only is the test gerrymandered to affect the racial balance, but here you also are giving away the right answers to the demographics that you want to pass the test. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in the air traffic controller control booth.
Is there any way, even with President Trump in the White House and the likes of Sean Duffy as the Transportation Secretary, to ensure that the DEI approach to hiring and firing and management of an agency is gone for good, given the fact that you have kind of I'm here for life bureaucrats?
Well, naming and shaming is how you do it, and the bureaucracy needs to be named and shamed. Here, accountability is the best deterrent. So the cheating scandal that happened a decade ago, now coming to light, is going to, hopefully accountability will happen. And people need to realize that even if they are thinking about race today and they think they can get away with it, they won't be able to, because President Trump and Secretary Duffy are going to weed that out at the FAA and across the Department of Transportation. And for those people who think that discrimination is going to continue, they're just going to rename it, call it something other than DEI, I think they have a very different thing coming.
William Trachman, great to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.